Okay, so recently and repeatedly, I've been asked to explain my stance that parts forming is objectively bad, because I can't actually believe that, right? No, I fully believe that, and not only do I believe it, I didn't even realize there was any debate to be had. It's so obviously an objectively negative quality. First off, let's establish what a transformer is. A transformer is a 3-part toy. 1 part action figure, 1 part other, be it car, jet, tape player, or regular dinosaur, or robot dinosaur, and 1 part puzzle box. Now let's start out with the baseline obvious truth that no one, no matter how delusional, can argue against. Parts forming is a compromise. It is sacrificing the puzzle aspect of the figure to potentially achieve a superior looking vehicle and robot mode. Whether or not you think that's a good thing is besides the point. That is what is happening. And no, it's not bad if you can parts form off a chunk of the figure to form a shield or something. That's not what I'm talking about. So long as it's not mandatory for the thing to parts form during transformation, who cares? You've not permanently sacrificed any aspect of the figure to achieve that. So yeah, optional parts forming is not objectively bad. It's just extra options. But anyways, the parts forming I'm talking about is a compromise. So just at kind of base level, it's an objectively negative thing. But no, I'm not going to stop just there with my explanation. The reason parts forming is truly objectively negative is there is basically almost never an excuse for it. Combiners get some exception here, especially Scramble City combiners. It just makes more sense for them to be generic with add-on parts that let them become the specialized limbs you are intending them to be, because forcing them to have the hardware to be an arm and a leg would be a more severe compromise. Again, back to what I was talking about. There is never an excuse for parts forming because it is never necessary for the figure to be otherwise perfect. That can always be achieved by more effort during the design phase. Any figure can have a perfect alt mode, a perfect robot mode, and a perfect transformation. The question is whether or not the designers got lazy or cheap. Laziness and cheapness are also objectively negative qualities. Now, you may want to argue that we shouldn't judge the product negatively if the company can't afford to do better. No, that's not how that works. If a company can only afford to make a product out of the cheapest plastic that will snap on the first use every time, should the consumer be happy because it's the best the company could do? No, there is no bell curve of product quality. But yes, any figure that parts forms could not parts form if more effort was just expended. I've heard tons of people praise Titan's Return for having great transformations and attributing that to the fact that the head parts formed. But every last one of these figures could have had the head not parts formed with almost no changes, and leaving the transformation almost exactly the same. And there's absolutely no argument for the Voyagers in Titan's Return, because they all have spring-loaded mechanisms designed to pop out of the collar of the figures, built into the torsos. That mechanism could easily just house the head. Basically, every last Titan's Return figure could have had the heads flip or sink into the chests in some way and been basically no different whatsoever. And even though I argued in favor of combiners having parts forming earlier, MMC just proved that even combiners don't need it with their amazing Assaultus set. Look, I'm not going to post my own photography of the combine mode because it's too big for my light box, so it would just be the figure sitting in the corner of my house and it'd be hideous. Trust me, the professional photography is better. The MMC Assaultus has the most accurate looking individual robots of any Combaticon line by far, the most accurate vehicle modes of any by far, and the most accurate combine mode of any by far, with as much posability of any other, and it has 0 parts forming. Now, there are people out there who will try to argue for the Zeta Bruticus to be the most accurate. No, it's not. The combined head is wrong, the Blastoff is wrong, the Vortex is wrong, and the Swindle is extremely wrong. And then you get to the individual robot modes and you're just not even close anymore. Now, you might want to say that the aesthetic design choices didn't have to be made, but the point is that the MMC achieved the most accurate look in all modes with fantastic transformations, fantastic posability in all modes, and no parts forming. Could the Zeta have achieved equal accuracy with parts forming? Yes, but as it stands, the MMC is basically perfect. And then there's this little guy. Would you believe that the only part of this that parts forms is the fists? The arms don't, the chest crest doesn't, the head doesn't, only the hands. And I can think of a few ways that they could have incorporated these. Now you might say that the arms are a little stubby, but there are ways that this easily could be fixed too. Just have them on extenders or something. How far do I have to go to show you that it is never necessary for a figure to parts form? So parts forming is a compromise, but it's one that didn't need to happen. It is an unnecessary compromise. It sacrifices the transformation for no reason to achieve something that could have been achieved without it. And you might say that it doesn't bother you, and that is fine, but that is your subjective opinion. That does not stop this from being objective. Objective and subjective do not harm one another. Subjective is what you like. Objective is what is. All the people who love The Room do not make The Room a good movie. It is objectively bad, but they subjectively love it, and there is nothing wrong with that. You like what you like, and you hate what you hate, but it does not mean that the thing is good or bad based on how you feel about it. Whereas objective can be quantified. No one watching this video will be upset by a figure that has a perfect robot mode, a perfect alt mode, and a perfect transformation, just because that transformation did not include parts forming. But there are a great number of people who have parts forming ruin a figure for them. And you would be right to say that this is due to their subjective feelings, but that subjective response causes an objective reaction. Fewer people are happy with the product that they purchased. Now, nothing in existence is going to ever please everyone, but for the sake of simple and clear demonstration, we are going to use simple numbers. A figure that uses no parts forming, but achieves a perfect score in the 3 categories, bot mode, alt mode, and transformation, would please 100% of people. While a figure that achieves a perfect score in bot mode and alt mode while using parts forming would please only, and let's be generous and give the benefit of the doubt to the pro parts forming crowd, 90% of people. It's assuredly a lot lower than that, but let's go with 90. 90% is an objectively lower number of pleased customers. It is objectively less than it could have or should have been. Parts forming is objectively a compromise, is objectively cheap or lazy design, or cheap and lazy design, and it objectively leads to fewer pleased customers. Parts forming is objectively negative, parts forming is objectively bad. And that's not half of what I have to say, but it's enough of what I have to say. Anyways, so I know, you know, what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think might be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.